Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. I am live here in London. It is 15 minutes, it's 9:45, 42 p.m. on a Monday night. I'm doing my nighttime devotion. The title of the devotional is called To Be Like Jesus. The title of the devotion today is Israel Pledges to Obey God's Commandments. The scripture reading comes from Exodus 24:7. Then he took the book of the covenant and read in the hearing of the people. And they said, all that the Lord has said we will do and be obedient. Preparation was now made for the ratification of the covenant according to God's directions. Here the people received the conditions of the covenant. They made a solemn covenant with God, typifying the covenant made between God and every believer in Christ Jesus. The conditions were plainly laid before the people. They were not left to misunderstand them. When they were requested to decide whether they would agree to all the conditions given, they unanimously consented to obey every obligation. They had already consented to obey God's commandments. The principles of the law were now particularized, that they might know how much was involved in covenanting to obey the law. They accepted and the specifically defined particulars of that law. If the Israelites had obeyed God's requirements, they would have been practical Christians. They would have been happy, for they would have been keeping God's ways and not following the inclinations of their own natural hearts. Moses didn't leave them to misconstrue the words of the Lord or to misapply his requirements. He wrote all the words of the Lord in a book that they might be referred to afterward. In the Mount, he had written them as Christ himself dictated them. Bravely did the Israelites speak the words promising obedience to the Lord after hearing his covenant read in the audience of the people. They said, all that the Lord hath said we will do and be obedient. Then the people were set apart and sealed to God. A sacrifice was offered to the Lord. A portion of the blood of the sacrifice was sprinkled upon the altar. This signified that the people had consecrated themselves, body, mind, and soul, to God. A portion was sprinkled upon the people. This signified that through the sprinkled blood of Christ, God graciously accepted them as his special treasure. Thus, the Israelites entered into a solemn covenant with God. And this is what happens when we get baptized. We enter into a covenant with God. And much like the Israelites did, we do also. After a while, we murmur, we grumble, we cannot keep the commandments as we would want to, as we should want to. But to be baptized is a public declaration that you are choosing the higher road. You are choosing that road that would lead to heaven. That's not to say that road is high to start with. It starts low and it works up. And it's a journey we take. It's a journey we take, a journey of understanding, a journey of study. And study to further understand. And that day by day journey should also be a day by day of learning and a day by day of changing. Many a time it will be taking 2, 3, 4 steps forward and maybe 6 steps back. But with a view that we can take those 4 or 5 steps forward again and avoid that trap that comes for us. But be aware, it's never the same temptation or trap. It's never the same one that comes around again. Maybe at another time, but not straight away. So always be aware. And this is why we need to know the commandments. I'm preaching to myself. We need to know the commandments to then say, yes, I will keep these commandments, Father, for you, for me, but for you, which is what I will benefit from keeping them. With you in my mind, I can do all things through Christ. We need to live our lives dedicate our bodies, our minds as a sacrifice daily, holy and acceptable to Him.